Welcome back to my channel. Every day we use these prominent websites which are built with either Python, JavaScript or PHP. In this video we will have a hands-on approach into these three popular languages side by side. They all have distinct syntaxes and follow different paradigms but share fundamental concepts that make up their code anatomy. Let's start with Python, which is clean, readable and simple. Before we get into variables, let's first talk about different data types, which could be numerical, or text, a string of characters, or even a logical boolean. This is true across all three languages, as I'll demonstrate shortly. Also, all languages use comments, which are lines of code that are skipped during execution. I encourage you to leverage your code editor or IDE with their shortcuts when commenting code. Comments could be in a single line or in multiple lines. We'll get to see a lot of these as we go. Now, back to our data. We need to store this data in a container, a bucket, pretty much a space in memory. We use variables to store data. Python and JavaScript are dynamically typed, so this is inferred based on the value that is stored. We need to use descriptive names, mnemonic names. We also have to start naming a variable with a character, a letter, or an underscore. Please avoid using reserved words as we'll run into conflicts. Python also recommends that we use snake case when writing the names of variables. Now, a statement is a line of code. One or more statements together make up a block of code. In Python, we do not need semicolons or curly braces to separate lines of code and blocks of code. We use white spaces and indentations for this purpose. Now, let's jump into JavaScript. As you can see, JavaScript also has comments, single line and multi-line comments. When it comes to variables, our data is stored, and also JavaScript uses dynamic typing. To be able to define variables in JavaScript, we use the var, let, or const keyword. Const keyword is used for variables or values that do not change much. Let keyword is preferred to var keyword because of the scope, hoisting, and redefinition purposes. When it comes to comments, you can also have comments within the line at the end, or end-line comments if you call them those. Now, on to PHP. PHP and JavaScript usually use semicolons at the end of their statements. Remember, a statement is a line of code, but semicolons are not mandatory, or rather they are mandatory with PHP. PHP also has commenting. Like I said, leverage your IDE or code editor to add those comments because there are some subtle differences here and there. PHP, for instance, has many ways you can comment code and so on. Now, for variables with PHP, remember PHP, JavaScript, and Python all use these basic data types which we discussed earlier. But for the variables, every variable in PHP starts with a $sign. The reason is because it's inherited from Perl, and it's very useful in parsing the data when it's embedded within HTML, and also when you're doing string concatenations. Naming convention again, PHP and JavaScript favor camelCase, which is different from snake case. And we always want to follow those naming conventions, starting with letters, underscores, or avoiding the use of keywords and reserved words. Note that case sensitivity is very important. For instance, the way false is written in PHP, JavaScript, and Python. Now, that's it for basic data types. Each one of these programming languages also have advanced data types. Python, for instance, uses list, which are collections of data. They could be of the same data type or different data types, which we will look at later on. Python also uses key value pairs, which are stored in curly braces, and the key has to be unique. We cannot have the same key within the same data structure. Instead of using an equality sign to assign the key or the value to the key, we use a colon, and you can have as many keys as you want. The values, you can have values that are not unique. For instance, our likes and comments are low, but they are distinct. We could have the same value. That should be okay. So this type of data structure in Python is known as a dictionary. So again, dictionaries have unique keys and multiple values. You can also nest these together to have advanced data structures. With JavaScript, we have arrays instead of lists. Python also has arrays, but that's for another day. Now, the array definition is very similar to the definition of a list. But arrays, you have to have the same data type within your array. You cannot mix the data types for arrays. And for advanced data types, again, from similarity with dictionaries, we have objects for JavaScript. This is actually what is known as JavaScript object notation, or JSON. So again, we're using this key value pair idea, and unique keys, values could be the same. Now, for PHP, very the same with JavaScript when it comes to arrays, but you want to make sure you use the right keyword to define your variables, or rather, in this case, your list, or should I say your arrays and your dictionaries. Now, for dictionary equivalent for PHP, we have associated arrays, which are written a little differently. Instead of curly braces, we use square brackets, and instead of the columns, we use the equal to and greater than sign to point the key to a value. And that covers it for data types. Next up, we talk about control flow, focusing on conditionals to begin with.